Salute, salute. The streets are buzzing. Welcome in, guys. Salute. The streets are buzzing as the cat trade is now official. The details have been confirmed. We're just waiting on the announcements, but obviously the particulars is something we've been waiting for. Jumping on a quick live stream to break it all down with you all. The best chat in the biz, guys. Knicks Nation. Smash that like button. Cat is officially a Knick. And, of course, the Knicks receive the rights to a center. We're going to talk about him, James Nnaji. Right, he's got some excellent physical tools. Nice draft and stash. Let's get into it, guys. Salute to the chat, guys. How you feeling? I'm feeling good. Right, wasn't expecting to come on tonight. Scheduled a show for tomorrow night with B-Ball Breakdown. Look forward to that one. But, of course, something happens and we're here. What an off-season it's been, man. We're all in peak form because breaking news comes, seems like daily. And we've got the diehards in the chat, Delmar, Prezi, Walter, and Dirty Dancer, and many, many more popping through right now. And a salute to Replay Squad as well on your grind if you're going to check this out later. But let's get into it. Obviously, we previewed that the Knicks were going to have to send a couple of second-round picks, and that is exactly what is taking place. Minnesota are going to send 1 second-round pick to Charlotte, and the New York Knicks will be sending 2 second-round picks as well. We'll talk about which ones they are. But the more important thing is that the Knicks actually get something back out of this trade, not just Karl Anthony Towns, but the draft rights to James Nnaji, right, who was drafted with the 31st pick in 2023 by Charlotte as well. Got some upside, and I will talk about his game as well. For those that aren't familiar, he's actually not in the NBA at the moment. He's a stash, but playing in a big league, big club, Barcelona, in the Spanish ACB. But he's 7 feet, 250 pounds, a 7'7" wingspan, and a 9'4" standing reach, right? The best in the business, Jonathan Gavoni, sent out this preview. His measurements coming in, right? He's only 20. He just turned 20. One of the youngest players that was ever drafted back in 2023. He was 19. And obviously the Knicks look at this as upside, right? He hasn't come over to the NBA yet. But again, he's in a big league, big club. And I think he'll definitely be making his way to the NBA. Maybe this offseason, we don't know what the Knicks' plans are. But good to get this detail, guys. Dirty says, James could be a really nice drop center under Tibbs. You look at those measurements and you think, my God, like 9'4" standing reach is incredible. And so we'll hear more on that, right? But we're breaking the news minutes after this has just happened, right? So I'm unpacking it with you all as well. As a lot of people are saying, is the second youngest player in the draft at that time, and the measurements are crazy. But the deal is going to be announced soon. Let me pull this one up with Bobby Marks as well. We'll talk about what the Knicks can do now with their money, right? So we get Towns, we get the draft rights to James Nnaji. Minnesota will get Julius, Dante, Keita Bates-Diop, and they'll get the 2025 Detroit protected first, obviously, which is ours, from Detroit, sent to Minnesota. And now Charlotte will get, so the Knicks are having to sign and trade Daquan Jeffries, having to sign and trade Dwayne Washington and Charlie Brown, like many expected. So nothing has changed on that front. The Knicks are going to have to go through so many different hoops to make this happen, but they're basically spending money to buy out Dwayne Washington from his Partizan club in Serbia, right? So they're buying him out of his club, signing him, and just to send him to Charlotte, right? You can't make this stuff up, man. Brock Aller masterclass just to make this happen, right? But this is probably for the nerds, but right, this is a blockbuster trade, and obviously the 3 seconds are going to go to Charlotte, right? 2025, the least favorable of the Denver Philly one, the 2026 second via Golden State, and the 2031 second via the New York Knicks, right? So I've got the draft picks up. I'm going to bring it up on screen right now, just so we can see. Okay, so we are going to send our 2031, which is our own second round pick. You see in the far right column, that's the second that we're going to send. I mean, that's so far in the future, it does not even matter. And the looks like what was it, the Denver one, 2025, least favorable out of Denver and Philly, right? 2025. So it looks like that's not even ours. That might be the Minnesota one. And the 2026 second, right, via the Golden State Warriors. So, yep. Okay, so that is what it's going to be. Right, so what are your thoughts on it? Let's get your reactions. I'm breathing a sigh of relief. Obviously, you just never know with these things. Physicals have to be done. We've shaken up the earth to make this thing happen, and now it's going to be official. The call to the NBA is being made right now. He was teammates with Rokas in Barca. That's absolutely true. Jet Life, David in the building. Knicks won today. Not a fan of the trade. Yep, fans are still unpacking it, right? But it's team first for me. New York Knicks on the front of the jersey, not the names on the back. But look, Cat comes in with some question marks. Obviously, you pull off a trade this big, it's going to be some adjustment. And we'll talk about the news today out of camp as well. Mitchell Robinson staying back in New York City to rehabilitate. Karl Anthony Towns, of course, was still in New York. Wasn't able to participate in day one of training camp. But I think that might be changed by tomorrow. We probably hear from Cat tomorrow, right? And perfect timing. We'll be live at 7 o'clock Eastern time with Coach Nick of B-Ball Breakdown. That'll be our next show tomorrow night. Dollar Bill says we got him finally. Jay Giant, what's good, boss? The trade's official, fam. So I'm about to break down what the Knicks can do with the small bit of change that we got left over, and how we're going to fill out our roster, fam. Because that is going to be a hot topic, right? That is one of the reasons that the New York Knicks are talking about a Mitch trade, right? So Key says to get New York around stacking the minimum contracts in the trade, Charlie Brown, Daquan, Dwayne Washington are all going to get above minimum just so that we can send them out, right? So that is how it's working, fam. Also, Keith, and I was going to talk about this next, but what the Knicks can do in terms of the money available. Where have we got it, fam? Just going to pull up my account on this one. We're going to talk about what the Knicks can do to fill out the rest of the roster, because it's going to be tricky. Here we go. So there's a lot of confusion as to why, the Knicks can't keep Mook Morris. We basically gave him that deal not knowing if the Cat deal was going to go through. But the Cat deal went through, and unfortunately, because Cat's money is a lot higher than Julius's and Dante's, and us having to send more salary out. So basically, we're at a bare minimum in terms of money left over without getting hard capped. So fortunately, we have enough to sign Landry Shamet. He was at practice today. He was stroking the 3 ball. There was some footage out there that we'll bring up. But Shamet will make the roster now. But unfortunately, Mook Morris, the veteran minimum salary that he is going to earn, isn't set by the Knicks. It's not set by any team. It's set by the NBA. If you're a 13-year veteran, your salary is $3.3 million, right? There's no way going around it. You can't say, oh, why not just pay Mook less? Why not, get rid of someone else, right? We can't do that. Mook Morris's salary is starting at $3.3 million for his 13 years of service in the league, right? So we are so close to going over the second apron that we just can't keep Mook, unfortunately. So, right, he is the collateral in this all. Again, another piece, but Shamet will come. So that gets us to 13 spots. 13 spots. So what do? You have to get to 14. So the Knicks can convert Huck Porty or Kevin McCullough, right? Possibly Jake Toppin as well. One of the two-way guys will get that 14th spot because they're so cheap, right? after signing Landry Shamet, we have to sign one more guy, and it's not the money we have left over isn't enough to sign a veteran, unfortunately. So even Ian Begley confirmed, someone was asking him about Robert Covington. You guys might be keen on maybe, the Knicks adding more depth veterans. Robert Covington, again, same case with Mook. Unfortunately, his salary would be too high. So to fill that 14th spot, the Knicks won't be able to sign a veteran. It's going to have to be a young player whose salary is really low, and one of these two-way draft picks as well. But that doesn't mean that the Knicks can't pull off some more moves. The second option to fill a 14th and maybe even adding a 15th spot, ideally for me, we're going on a deep championship run, hopefully. So I would prefer that the Knicks can get 15 bodies on the roster, But the only way they can do that is to pull off another trade, right? Example, Mitchell Robinson, his salary, he's not the only one. Unfortunately, Precious can't be traded at the moment, because he was just signed. I think Cam Payne can technically be traded after another week or so, but he can't be traded right now because he was signed recently. So to pull off, adding more talent, the Knicks would have to try to get out of Mitchell Robinson's 10 million and maybe take back less money, but more players in that money. So talking about maybe a Nick Richards for 5 million, maybe another piece on Charlotte, right? That could be something done in the future, but nothing is imminent. I need to stress, there is nothing imminent in terms of a Mitch trade. There's just discussions being had. There is even talk that the Knicks are patient and prepared to let Mitch recover and rehab and work his way back, right? Imagine Mitch getting healthy by like December or January, and he's that huge piece off the bench, right? Or maybe starting some and Cat moves back to the 4, and then you can allow Josh Hart to come back off your bench. That instantly strengthens your bench if Mitch gets healthy. Because again, Cat can play some 4 when Mitch is at the 5, and then Hart and Deuce McBride makes your bench a lot stronger again, So what are your thoughts on that, guys, too? But after this trade, man, breathe a sigh of relief. But yeah, a lot of maneuvering has had to happen to do this. But like I said, guys that are just joining us, we obviously get James Nnaji, right? What are your thoughts on him? We'll bring you up to speed on his game as I pull up his stats, his highlights, right? Played in Barcelona, hasn't made it to the NBA yet, but he is a physical specimen. Talking about probably more than a Jalen Duren, right? Because he's a clear 7 foot in shoes, 7'7" wingspan, 250 pounds, and a whopping 9'4" standing reach, right? A Tibbs kind of guy. Let's pull up the video. This is courtesy of Draft Express, Jonathan Gavoni. Right, this is back in 2023 when he was drafted with the 31st overall pick. Right, this is Tibbs' maybe future rim protector. Look, it's important that we get something back else out of this trade, but it's cheap. We need to be operating under some cheap talent right now, and he isn't yet in the league. So yeah, that could mean that the Knicks can get him under a cost-friendly contract as well. Right, Ronald Salute. I believe Shamet is actually the Dante replacement. Shamet can put up career low numbers on a poor Washington team. Knicks in the building. What's good? Dirty Dancer says I would start and keep Mitch, trading him at the lowest ever value. Yeah, it is a classic case of his value ain't going to get any lower. So I think, yeah, unless you're okay just keeping the 14 roster spots, convert Huckporty or convert McCullough. McCullough, he had his media day photos as well. I've been uploading all the latest headshot photos from the Knicks at media day. I'll have them ready for the next show. But basically, McCullough, in some of the footage we saw today in camp, McCullough wasn't practicing. He wasn't shooting. I don't know if he is still rehabbing, but I think his health will be a big concern in terms of whether or not, the Knicks sign him with that 14th spot. I would probably be signing Huckporty, because as a two-way player, don't forget there is a limitation on how many games you can play, and the Knicks are really stretched at the big man spot. As I pull up the depth again, basically, yeah, the Knicks, in terms of power forward and the big man spot, with Mitch out until at least December or January, I mean, Huck Porty would be on a limit of playing 40 days with the big club. And even a game where you're not playing, if you're just on the bench, that counts as a real day for a two-way guy. So I would probably convert Huck Porty, I think, out of all the two-way guys. But maybe if Jake Toppin is eligible as well, they might be looking at that too. So that raw center, we haven't seen him obviously, but it's promising. You know, he was the 31st pick, and he is a guy that fits the profile of a Tibbs big man. E. Gonzalez says the front office is cooking. I've all the faith in the world in them. Yep, I mean they've got the points on the board right now. Obviously, and I said this last night, guys. Depth right now, you know, it is a concern, no doubt, but the roster ain't complete and the season hasn't begun as well. So let's wait. Let's just be patient about it because you can add depth as the season goes. We can pull off a trade mid-season. We can also do some other things in terms of a buyout market. They don't hand out the trophy in November and December, fam. It's May, June, July. You know, just get to the postseason healthy. And I don't think this will be the roster after the trade deadline. You know, I think Leon Rose is going to work on, you know, trying to get some more veterans in, which is why, look, the Mitch thing, it might come down to that it's not just about the talent, just like it was with Julius and the money and the contract situation. With Mitch, the facts are that he's, you know, earning 10, 12 million. He's not available right now. And you could maybe get that money off your books and get two or three players that could actually play and help you try to win within that 12 million, you know? I mean, when healthy, he's an absolute difference maker, and he's a guy that can help the New York Knicks win. But when he's not healthy right now, and we're basically having to sign two-way players just to fill the roster, and you know our depth is actually lacking, that's a concern. So I think Leon will make some hard decisions, and look, I don't think it's connected. The fact that Mitch is still in New York and not in Charleston, I don't think that's linked to any trade discussion. As I said, nothing seems imminent, but they are having talks. You know, New Orleans seem to be leading the race in terms of the team that is the most interested. Of course, that would be his hometown team. I get why the Pels would be interested in trying to get a Mitchell Robinson, trying to buy him at the lowest point. But what do you think would be reasonable to get back in a deal for a Mitchell Robinson, right? Bowen says his minimum salary puts us over the apron. Yeah, I talked about that as well. The chat's buzzing, of course. Breaking news: the Cat trade is officially done in terms of the details confirmed by Shams, Bobby Marks. The call will be made to the NBA tonight, and I think we'll probably hear from Karl Anthony Towns tomorrow, fam, pending all the physicals as well. There's been media day photos come out as well. We'll be updating all of that for tonight, and tomorrow will be live 7 p.m. with Coach Nick of Big Ball Breakdown. Yeah, I mean, today we saw some footage of Campaign, who's repping number 1 now, formerly of Obi Toppin and Amari. And we got Tyler Kolek repping 21 now after changing from 13. Those guys were putting up shots. Shamit looked like he's taking number 9, formerly RJ's number as well. Landry Shamit, you know, it's an underrated signing, underrated move. He's only 27. He's got more athleticism as well in his toolkit. He can actually sky high. He's had some monster jams. I do think Landry Shamit is a player that, you know, could exceed expectations, but he's going to play a role because we do need that scoring off our bench, right? So, as I said, Ian Begley's reporting, you know, the Knicks had to buy out Dwayne Washington to make this move happen, but the deal is complete now. Nothing's really changing. We're sending 2 second-round picks to Charlotte. Sorry, Minnesota's sending one of theirs, and we are getting back James Nnaji, right, the 20-year-old center prospect who has got amazing potential. We'll see how it all looks, what the Knicks' plans are. I don't know if they could squeeze him under the cap and try to bring him across, but it'll probably require a buyout from his club in Barcelona as well. So we are 13.6 million under the second apron hard cap at 13 players right now, right? that's enough room to obviously sign Landry Shamet and convert one of these two-way players. Let me know which one you would go for, right? Would it be Kevin McCullough? Would it be Ariel Huckporty? Would it be Jake Toppin? I think Jake Toppin looked better in Summer League, but he got injured, unfortunately, in the second game, so we didn't see enough too. The chosen one says hit that like button, thumbs up, Knicks family as well. We're all cooking. We've all got the streets buzzing. What an off season it's been, man. We're all ready for the season to start right now. It's a new chapter, a new era, man. We've got fans from, we've got 80-year Knicks fans on our platform. We've got 30-year Knicks fans on our platform. We've obviously got new fans joining us as well, right? I wonder if any Brooklyn fans are giving up on that movement, right, and are just coming back home to the New York Knicks, right? Would you want any bandwagon fans coming on from Brooklyn, right? Because definitely the orange and blue side of New York City is buzzing, and the black side of New York in Brooklyn is not buzzing right now, right? They're tanking. The roles have reversed. Navy Blue says Shamet can ball. He's going to be good for us off the bench. Yep, 100% agree with you on that one. Yeah, look, with Mook, it was kind of like a part of it was like I like what he gave us last time round, but we don't really think that he had the same level of play. I think he would have been a nice insurance policy for the New York Knicks, and the experience, the enforcement, all of those things as well. So I'll just leave this up. Bobby Marks is one of the best in the business, confirming the details. For everyone just joining in, we've got over 500 people live with us, man. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We've got two buzzing guests coming on over the next 2 days. Bill Pedo, Coach Nick of B-Ball Breakdown. We'll be diving in more depth into terms of how can we get the best out of Cat and this roster. The best pick and pop screener in the NBA as a big man. Number one on the list. And obviously the three-point shooting percentages, shooting over 40% as well. The ball's not going to stick I think this year. We did hear from Tibbs today. He's excited about the versatility of the guards. He did talk about that the guards in our rotation can play on ball and off ball seamlessly. Obviously, Mikal Bridges can be on ball comfortably, but he plays well off ball as well. Deuce McBride, he talked about him. If Cam Payne's on the ball, Deuce McBride is comfortable off the ball, and vice versa. If Deuce is on the ball, Cam Payne can also catch and shoot as well. So there's some good looks that the Knicks can play with. He didn't really talk about Tyler Kolek so much, so maybe it looks like Tyler is going to, not feature in early. Maybe they plan to get him up to speed and ease in as a rook. But in terms of the versatility, OG talked about, loving the depth that we have and the versatility in the starting five, being able to play inside out, all of that. I do think that player movement is going to be better as well, right? And I'm not throwing shade on Julius or any other players, Dante. It's just a case of, I think, Cat's skill set, he's kind of like the big man Dante, where he can catch and shoot really quick decisions. And the defense, I think, is going to be scrambling, playing us, fam. So Michael Parker with a super chat. Michael says, Knicks fans will be pleasantly surprised by James Nnaji. He's no slouch. He's got Mitch. He has Mitch potential, and if he's allowed to properly develop. Don't sleep. Appreciate it, Michael. Great comment. And I'm going to obviously be looking more into James Nnaji because we're doing this right now, breaking live, and I haven't had a chance to really look at his game. But all I do, I see the facts, I see the stats. He was the 31st pick, so he was a borderline first-round talent. What I like as well, guys, is that he's getting pro experience. So he's kind of been developing over the last 2 years with a professional ball club. Barcelona's they're no minnow. They're one of the biggest clubs in Europe. Obviously, he's been playing with some former NBA pros on that ball club as well. Formerly Rokas, Ricky Rubio. Big spotlight with that club. But he's 20 years old now, and I think the time might be close where he comes to the States. In terms of the move, I think that the Knicks getting something extra out of it is really important as well. To get a center prospect on the cheap, we are operating under a very fine budget. right now. So yeah, here's what I think is going to play out. Obviously, Precious is very, very valuable to us. I think there's a huge potential that he balls out, shows more potential and stays. But I also think that 6 million is quite an option to trade. You know what I mean? And maybe Mitch. There's some money that the Knicks can play with this trade deadline. Leon Rose, as he's shown, man, he's been so aggressive in trying to make this club, the best that it can be in terms of winning a championship. And I don't think he'll leave any stone unturned. Too. Doug Fresh says, "Let's go. This is our year." Yeah, the feeling is in the air. I think, in terms of the 90s, and as I mentioned, some of our fans have been, you know, new. Some of our fans have been, 80-year Knicks fans, but the 90s obviously was our closest years outside of the chip. And I think this is very, very close, if not a better chance, right? Finesseful J says, "Move Pacome Dadier for Nick Richards if we land Trey Murphy." So yeah, the Trey Murphy thing is rumors that right now. I could see a trade with New Orleans, absolutely, but we don't know if that's realistic with Trey Murphy. But I think he would be obviously a dream fit, adding more depth. You could slide Josh Hart back to the bench. I think in an ideal world. What's up, South Gooner? Appreciate you for joining us as well. The chat's popping right now. Optimism is here. Training camp, right? We've got Bobby Marks. We've got national media guests talking about the Knicks as the best starting five, potentially. Do you think that's going to rile up Boston, seeing all this noise that the Knicks are making as well? One thing's for sure, we heard from Philadelphia and their media day as well. There's talk that, Yabusele and obviously Caleb Martin, Drummond, and Kelly Oubre, and that were looking good in day one. So Philadelphia's feeling good about themselves. Boston's feeling good. There's going to be some classic Eastern Conference rivals and games this off season, right? In the regular season, right? Preseason, not so much. We've got the Minnesota game, but outside of that, man, nothing's really getting me too excited, right? It's just opening night. That's the one, right? I would think that they would look at Murphy as untouchable, Bowen, but you never know. Like Mitch is a unicorn when he's healthy. I mean, defensively, he's a player that could be a difference maker for them. You got Zion. They've been trying to fill that center position as well. We know what it's like to try to fill a real need at center. So we could pull on those strings with New Orleans and talk about Mitch. Mitch's contract is really, really good when he's healthy. Talking about 12 million, then it's 14 million. So it's 2 more years after this, and it's very cheap in terms of what he can do when he's healthy. So that could be a card that we play. With Mitch, I think they will obviously continue to monitor his rehab. But right now, yeah, he's a big wild card. There's no doubt about it, guys. In terms of what we could do, moving forward, I think when he's healthy, ideally playing more minutes, it allows a little more versatility with Cat. And I think the goal should be to maybe get Josh Hart back to the bench, in my opinion. What are your thoughts on that? Let me bring this depth image back up. I think obviously losing Dante off the bench was huge in terms of a tough blow, but if Hart and Ducey are key pieces off the bench, I think that makes your bench very, very, very formidable once again. And then obviously with Shamet and Campaign, they know what to do. They're some solid veterans, so I think that makes the bench instantly stronger. So there's a pro and a con for keeping Mitch if he's healthy. But again, postseason, can you depend on him? That's the $1 million gamble, too. So Tibbs has talked about some staff as well that have been added, and he's looking forward to getting it going, right? Doug Fresh says keep Mitch and save some money with that one. Do you keep Mitch? You could trade Precious, right? You could trade Precious at the deadline, maybe get some other options, but then we're thin at the power forward spot as well, right? But Trey Murphy in the starting lineup, that would put us over the top. I'm not going to lie, right? Boston would have to be getting sweating. They would have to be sweating, right? I know they're trying to play it cool. I know the fans are, obviously are confident, but I mean, I look at the facts. When you win a championship, the next year ain't so bright. This isn't the Bulls. The three-peat Bulls. This isn't the formidable Miami Heat. Big three. In my opinion, this isn't the Golden State dynasty. I honestly felt that Boston were vulnerable, and I think it showed. Indiana, a very average, Indiana club that with really good depth did push them. I know it was, the games didn't show in terms of the count, but the way the games were played out was so close. And look, you take Chris Stapps off Boston, and man, it is so even, right? Obviously, Chris Stapps not ready to start the season, so that is something to be mindful of, right? And that's where the Knicks can get the early jump on these guys. So yeah, I'm not worried about the 2 second-round picks. We broke it down. For those that have just joined us, I'll just pull up the graphic again real quick. You can see all these second-round picks that the Knicks have, right? This is courtesy of No Trade Clause as well. Great platform, great website. And they've given us all the Knicks draft picks as well. We have so many seconds. You can always obtain more seconds as well. So we give up 2 seconds in this deal, and Minnesota will send Charlotte 1 second as well. So look, ultimately Charlotte, I mean, I'm glad they were able to help us out because, man, obviously it's probably the reason why this trade took this long, right? Now that I'm looking at it, on the final day of the offseason before media day, Charlotte were the team that had enough space to absorb Charlie Brown, Washington, and Daquan Jeffries as well, right? And they're obviously going to get 3 second-round picks, right? But I mean, just for taking on salary, it's not a bad deal for them, but it's not exactly going to change anything, I think, for their future. So they were able to help us out, thankfully. But I think obviously getting Charlotte involved was the key to getting this trade done, man, and getting Karl Anthony Towns as a New York Knick, right? In terms of our ceiling, it is higher now, in my opinion, as we break down more film, and we will tomorrow night with Coach Nick. He's going to drop a Karl Anthony Towns video tomorrow or tonight as well, so keep an eye out on that. And then we'll be talking about the video that he drops. But I've been talking to Coach Nick a lot about the stretch 5 offense of the New York Knicks and the potential. Julius Randle always came up in those conversations, but obviously the skill set is different now. Cat's not so much a post player, but more versatile out on the perimeter as well. That's going to scare the life out of a lot of defenses as well. Because look, if Jalen Brunson's three-point shooting continues to ascend, and then you've obviously got the floor spaces of Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby. And look, even Josh Hart isn't a slouch in the corner. He can shoot it from the corner, and we've broken down the numbers of Josh Hart as well and how he fits. But basically, the Knicks have 5 outlooks on offense as well. Defense is the more of the concern, the physicality, the rebounding, OG playing more minutes at the 4. That is a bit of a concern of mine. We have to wait to see how that plays out. But obviously with Hart in the starting lineup, as much as we don't want to see it for longer stretches, Hart is going to have to play some 4, I think, a little bit, or interchange at least a little bit as well. So Alan says, I'm concerned about McCullough Jr.'s health. I think that is an overall concern. The talent is there. I think the Knicks might not be choosing him to convert. I think in terms of filling that final spot, it might be Ariel Hukporti because we need more big bodies, I think, as well. Dre's on the trade Mitch for more depth train, and that I think the Knicks will be continuing to take calls and just do something that makes sense, right? Don't trade Mitch for a bag of chips. It's obviously got to be something that makes sense. Realistically, if we can get 2 players under the Mitch salary and help flesh out our depth more, that will help. Ultimately, if we could get one really good player for Mitch, like a Trey Murphy as well, where you can't say no to that. So that's something that is going to happen as well, maybe potentially. But yeah, how big is Precious for this season? Alan says Tibbs needs to start Precious, right? Let's get some wild cards heading into this season on the roster. right? We kind of know the 13 guys now. So who is your wild card for the New York Knicks, right? Who is your wild card? And let me pull this up again. Don't know why it's come off. Yeah, my wild card right now would probably be, if I'm narrowing it down, maybe you could give a wild card from the starting five and a wild card for the bench. But my starting five wild card is going to be Mikal Bridges. I think Mikal Bridges, we've seen Anunoby. We know what he can do. We know what Brunson can do, and I know what Josh Hart can do. And obviously, Karl Anthony Towns has just come in the building, right? So, max spotlight on him. But I think Mikal Bridges, because, yeah, last season was a down a year, but we know what he's capable of doing. We saw it in Phoenix, right? He's only 28. If he can elevate his game and be a bona fide second or third option on a championship level team, that could be the difference. That could put us over the top. Obviously, his playmaking is key. He can put the ball on the floor and he can shoot it. And then off the bench, my wild card is none other than Deuce Miles McBride. I've been talking about this for 12 months now, since last season. But obviously, Dante was the favorite, I think, to win six man. But he leaves a spot for Deuce McBride to step on up into his role and be a shooter. He can shoot maybe up to 12, 15 shots now if he plays plenty of minutes. The three-point shooting was real. I think the playmaking is real as well. I think he's going to have less pressure to run the offense with Cam Payne to fall back on and Tyler Kolek as well. Shamet will help with the floor spacing a bit as well. But yeah, I think the world is Deuce McBride's oyster. I think he could, if he shows even more growth from last season, right, he could be a six man of the year real candidate, I think. And we know whenever Brunson misses any time, Deuce is the perfect player to step in and try to, give as close to that production as we can. He can give you your 20, 25 points if he's shooting it well and he's hot. So let's see, right? Sean says Kolek. That's your wild card. Yeah, I could see that. Dirty doesn't see McCullough playing much this year. Needs to live in the training room. Marcus says, anyone know Cat's number? I think it's going to be 32, fam. 32. That seems to be all the talk, all the graphics. But of course, he hasn't had his media day photos yet because it wasn't official. But I'm pretty sure, 90% sure, it will be 32. He'll keep that. But obviously, Julius continues the 30 with Minnesota as well. Lyndon says, I really think we should start Precious at the 4 and bring Hart off the bench to shore up the bench, right? I hear your point, actually. I hear it. I think Tibbs wouldn't do that, but yeah, he loves Hart so much. But yeah, that would help things out a bit. But I think Tibbs will try to stagger these best players in the starting lineup, right? He'll substitute maybe two of them out and keep two or three starters at all times. I think that's going to be the key to making the bench look more efficient, I think. So, yes, we see this graphic, man, but I don't think we'll see lineups of Sims, Shamet, Payne, and Precious and Deuce all at the same time. I think those are obviously the 5 key reserves right now. Maybe Kolek shows that he's ready, and when Mitch gets back, he'll factor in. But right now, those are the 5 key reserves, but I don't see them all playing at the same time. I think there will definitely be at least 2 starters on the floor at all times, right? Which is going to possibly wear the starting 5 down a bit more. We are gonna heavily depend on those 5 guys. There's no doubt about it. But obviously, the moves that we can make now, it's important that we make the right calls on what we need to do, which is convert one of these two-way guys, but that is going to open up a two-way spot as well. So we could convert technically Huck Porty or McCullough, and then we can sign another two-way player to take on their spot as well. So obviously the two-way spots don't count, I think, towards the cap. So we can fill that as well. So, I mean, two-way players don't normally give you much, but I'm sure Leon Rose will be looking for the most NBA ready guy Maybe a guy who's showed out in the G League that can come in and maybe fill a need, whether it's scoring, rebounding, toughness, doing something like that. Nick Sanchez says campaign as the wild card for that. I could see you on that one, definitely. Wall Street also agrees campaign is a sleeper. Yep. Coloclo says, yeah, you'll see that lineup if Knicks are winning by 20. Absolutely, man. That is a key point, and I've made that one as well. The Knicks will get blowout wins, assuming it all goes according to plan, and we're running teams out of the gym or shooting them out of the gym. I think the New York Knicks will have the opportunity to play situational guys in these blowouts. Tibbs is going to have to adjust. There's no doubt about it. He can't wear these starters down and be playing them 42 minutes, right? If we're leading, especially in games by 10 points, with 3 minutes to go, get them out of the game. Um, Look, one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the last 2 seasons is that the regular season don't matter as much. If the Knicks can get a good seed, it's all about health in the postseason. It's all about getting there healthy with all your weapons available. And all you need to do is get there healthy. You hit lightning in a bottle, and you start clicking at the right time, and 16 wins, and you're lifting the trophy. So I'm feeling good. The trade's been confirmed. The details have been confirmed. Obviously, the announcement is going to hit any minute. Physicals need to be done, but the trade has been confirmed in terms of the details, right? Bobby Marks with the details here. I'll continue shouting the chat out, and I'm just going to refresh my feed to see if there's any latest news to bring people. But smash that like button. Glad to have you with us. The streets are buzzing, right? So Charlotte acquiring those 3 players from New York with the $8 million room exception. Okay, that's some fancy maneuvering for Charlotte. These are the type of moves that teams like Charlotte should be doing. It is smart business by them, helping these teams out like us, helping the big fish out, and getting a couple of picks out of it. Remember the New York Knicks did that when Leon and Brock Aller first took over. We took on Ed Davis and got a couple of second-round picks out of it, right? One of the reasons we have so many seconds is because we've been stacking them up as well. So, bigger picture, Sam Quinn of CBS says the Knicks are in position to keep Brunson, Towns, Bridges, Anunoby, and Hart all together for 4 years, right? Positioned to keep the core 5 together for 4 years. What do you think about that, fam? You can obviously build more depth around that with veteran minimums, but that's refreshing because, you don't, when you open a window, man, you want to keep it open as long as possible. And I'm talking about like the 90s, every year we're going into the season knowing that we're going to be around the top, right, when it comes to the postseason too. Ian Begley's come out with some updates. The Knicks will have 12 players on guaranteed deals post-Towns trade, with Marcus Morris and Okeke waived. Shamet's obviously well positioned to take that 13th spot, right, on the 15-man roster as well. New York will have enough money under the second apron to add a rookie at a minimum for the 14th spot as well. So that could be James Nnaji. James Nnaji, first year in the league, would be a rookie, right? So we obviously have just enough to add a rookie. And fortunately, James Nnaji is the 31st pick. So he's a second-round salary slot as well. Could this be a vision that Brock Aller is seeing in terms of, I want James Nnaji. He's a center. He's a second-round salary, and he could fit as well. So the Knicks have done plenty of background work. And of course, the Athletics draft guru, Sam Vecini, I'll pull this one up on the screen as well so we could see it. But he's given us some updates on James Nnaji, headed to the Knicks in this Towns deal, right? He says he went 31 in the 23 draft, stashed in Spain. The draft guide profile that Sam wrote ranked him number 40 in 2023. Very raw center with a lot of tools, right? Had back surgery this past summer. Okay, that's a bit of a downer, but we'll see how it plays out cheaper salary, maybe a guy with some great potential too. Philip, great to see you as well. Appreciate the comment as well. We're all here because we love the New York Knicks. We're all here because we love chatting with each other, and we're buzzing right now. People that aren't happy about the trade, look, it's always going to be skeptics for various reasons. I think we just need to see the product on the court. We need to see the ball bounce. We need to see the winning happen, and then I think people will start to get on board a lot more. We've been doing this for 4 or 5 years now. I was streaming live the night that Brunson scored 40 points for Dallas, in that playoff game, and then I did a video on Brunson's links to the Knicks, and there were skeptics back then. There was people that didn't want to pay Brunson at all. There was people that thought it was underwhelming. Look where we're at now. Just wait it out, be patient, let this thing play out, right? There'll be plenty of time to criticize if it doesn't work out. But right now on paper, it looks great. There are some other holes, but we do need to figure it all out, right? You don't just build a championship team overnight, man. This has been brick on brick on brick and stacking it all up as well, man. It's been decades in the making, obviously, for bad reasons. But we're finally here now, I think, in terms of the championship window, wide open, right? Knicks 25 champ says, don't trade Mitch. Fighting Word says, I'm glad we picked up another big. We will make moves on the margins. I'm confident of that. And when we do, we will get players that we need to fill spots, I feel, as well. Deuce Payne, each combo will brawl, says Salvador. Marcus Miller says, thanks. Keep the comments coming. I try to get to as many as I can. Apologies if I miss one of your comments, but obviously the chat's buzzing right now, right? I'm working solo at the minute, breaking this news with everyone late on a Tuesday night, East Coast, right? Training camp day 1 is in the books. No major quotes that really stood out, but obviously October 6th is our first preseason game. This was the first big hurdle to clear, and now we can hear from Karl Anthony Towns, hopefully tomorrow as well. Prezi says the Don out here playing chess too, and coach says we're not keeping 5 centers. So yeah, we've got some options. I think Jericho on the final year of his deal, that is something to look out for this season, right? I do think that Jericho deserves a shot because he's one of the more experienced bigs on the roster. Is he going to be able to play some 4, some 5? We'll wait and see. I think, but a big year ahead for Jericho. I mean, as the 58th pick to be in the league for coming into his 5th year now, that's beat the odds. A lot of players that that are drafted 58, they don't last in the league that long. So unfortunately his game hasn't grown the way I would like to see it. But this is a big year. It's kind of make or break, I feel, as a Knicks career, right? Well, we can't have that level of patience where we're willing to give a player 5 years, to really elevate. But obviously contractually, we haven't, he hasn't got a deal beyond this year. So he has to really show it. I like Precious's game. I know Mark Berman wasn't as big on Precious, but I think what Precious showed us with consistent minutes is something to be hopeful for. Precious can do different things that we need. He's not the best shooter, but he can give you the rebounding that we miss from Hartenstein. He can give you a bit more rim protection as well. He's healthy, he's durable. I mean, I'll take it right now. I mean, we're paying guys that are injured. So if you're available and you can give us something, lace them up. Finessful says, would y'all be upset if Murphy was rerouted to Utah for Kessler to New York? Look, I would definitely take Kessler. I'm not going to lie. I mean, Trey Murphy as well. That's tough. I need to think about it. But obviously, we're stacked at the wings. I think we'll definitely need more available centers on that one. Right. And 718, so the Charlotte big is not on the roster yet. He's in Europe. He's a stash pick, and his drafts are now with us. So I think it'll be interesting to see if we bring him over this season. It doesn't look like Charlotte was going to bring him over yet. He's still very raw. He's 20. He's got those physical tools though, however, as I bring it up on the screen, fam. Yeah, as Gavoni has tweeted out, he's a clear 7-footer, 7'7" wingspan, and a 9'4" standing reach as well. So, look, this could come back, let's say 1 or 2 years from now. This could really help. You're trying to compete for that chip, and you've got a cheap center that's got an upside to him, and we'll see how it all plays out as well. I like Huck Porty. We'll see. He was at media day as well. I know we didn't really hear from Huck Porty, but Jake Toppin was there. I've seen the photos uploaded. We've got Huck Porty. He was there. Mitch had his photos as well, but he stayed in New York too. Boss Rider OG is the key. I can't disagree with you that one, man. That's a good wild card as well. I asked everyone, give me your wild card for the starters and for the bench. I said it was Mikal Bridges with the starting 5. He's the new piece before Cat, obviously, and I want to see him get back to his best from Phoenix. Off the bench, I said it was Deuce McBride. I think if Deuce continues his growth, we might not even be talking about Dante. And I love Dante, but I think if the NBA is all relative to shot selection and shot attempts. If you give the same amount of shot attempts that DiVincenzo had to Deuce McBride, he might not shoot the same level, the percentage, but he might shoot close. I think he has that potential, and so if Big Ragu had 12 shots a game, and you give those 12 shots to Deuce, I mean there might not be much difference. So, and we also brought in Bridges too. Jadoni says Jericho can't play, is the new Frank. I don't know if Tibbs will trust him as much, but regular season we'll see. Someone's going to have to play more and definitely pony up. And look, the opportunity's there for someone to take. Wayne would like to see Precious start at the 4 until Mitch returns. He's a good cutter and he's a pretty good offensive rebounder as well. Yeah, that would push Josh Hart to the bench, which I would like that look as well. I don't think Hart is really needed in the starting 5, to be honest. I think a bit of extra size, and I'm a little worried about OG playing the 4 a lot, to be honest with you guys. I think OG playing at the 4 sometimes is fine, but permanently, it's going to be tough. And obviously Josh Hart, had a couple of injuries. We don't want him banged up too much as well, playing the 4 as well. So look, Precious could be a big wild card on this team. Stanley says, I don't see the Knicks bringing over Nnaji, who won't play with Tibbs, who is raw. We'll see how it plays out. We definitely need the bodies, and he's cheap. But I would probably prefer Huck Porty, to be honest, because we know we can only convert one of these rookies to that final spot. And so when you look at it, Nnaji is 20. He's still raw. Huck Porty's 22. He's been playing pro in the NBL. I've seen him. I think his game can help. 12, 15 minutes off the bench. I don't think we'll lose too much from that. I think Huck Porty might be the play to convert to the 14th final spot, just to fit under that second apron, right? Because money is so tight right now. Buzzer Beater, salute. What's up? Great to see you. Just another announcement again. Tomorrow we'll be live at 7 o'clock Eastern Time with Coach Nick of B-Ball Breakdown. And B-Ball Breakdown channel will be uploading a Karl Anthony Towns video breaking down the fit tonight or tomorrow as well. So that'll be great to talk to him about it as well. Coach is in the building too. My chat's a little bit delayed as well, so I'm getting through everyone. 718 Fresh, is Cat a 5 or 4? He's both. I think that is what makes this a good move. I think I would like to see maybe 50% at the 4, 50% at the 5. The reason I say that is because I don't think he's a full-time 5. I just don't think he's, on offense, excellent, can space the floor out. But defensively, for 40 minutes or 38 minutes, I think you will suffer a little bit in terms of the rebounding, the hustle plays, that the 50-50 balls that the New York Knicks did win last season. I think that's tricky, having Towns at the 5 full-time. So that is the reason why I think he's a 4 and a 5, But in order to play him at the 5 a lot more, at the 4 a lot more. We need a reliable center, so right now he is our 5 too. LB wants Nick Richards. Yeah, I was kind of hoping we would hear, a big bomb and it's like trade complete. The Knicks are getting Nick Richards now, somehow. I would love to see that, but unfortunately the deal is now basically confirmed and no Nick Richards yet. It's basically James Nnaji, who is a prospect. And look, he could, maybe stay in Europe one more year and start to look more ready. We'll see how that plays out. But he's just another big, at least, who's under our control. And he was the 31st pick. Sam Vecini at The Athletic had him ranked 40th in the 2023 draft. I mean, that was a pretty strong draft. So, he's got potential. We'll see how that plays out. Yeah, we did miss Skapensev, but I don't think he's moving the needle either as well, fam. So I'm just going to continue to see what else is coming through, any new updates. We'll go for a bit longer, and of course we'll be back tomorrow night once again. But we'll hopefully hear from Karl Anthony Towns tomorrow at training camp if this deal gets confirmed tonight, which it should, because the details have been confirmed, right? So the Knicks have to get to 14 players on the roster. We're currently at 13. We're currently at 12 with the unguaranteed Shamet deal. If Shamet picks up an injury, that gives him some flexibility to then make a different move. But if Shamet gets through training camp healthy, I think he'll get that 13th spot. He has to, basically. I mean, we need some shooting. And then we've got one more spot for a rookie. Again, just to repeat, I think it'll be one of our own rookies. It looks like Huck Porty. McCullough's health is a bit sketchy. We'll see how it plays out. But the two-way players, it's important to convert the guy who's going to play the most. Because with two-way players, you only get 41 days to actually play them. We don't really want to be under that kind of restriction, man. If guys go down, we need bodies. So Charlotte helped us out. They took the 3 guys as well. That's a bit crazy. So it's not officially announced yet, even though the pieces are in place. As long as it gets done prior to practice tomorrow, Towns can join the Knicks at practice, says Steve Popper of Newsday as well. So great bit of news to hear. I'm going to pull that up, refresh it now. Looks like Karl Anthony Towns can be at practice tomorrow and can speak and join the practice, of course, right before it happens. Karl Anthony Towns, finally. What do you think he's going to say, man? 9 years in Minnesota. Apparently he was surprised at the deal. Josie Goslin, who works on the cap, says it's worth noting that the New York Knicks had to complete this deal before the season started. They wouldn't be able to do this exact version of the trade later, since free agents cannot be signed and traded during the regular season. So that's another obviously important piece of news, which is why the timing and why this deal had to happen now, fam, as well. With Washington, Charlie Brown, and Jeffries, those guys were not going to be on the club to be able to sign and trade if the season began. And as Steve Popper says, Cat going to be able to join us tomorrow if it's announced. Paul is in the building. Great to see you as well. So Tibbs is now with us extended. He spoke on how grateful he is to be this coach of this team, and this is the best roster he's had. But excuses, I think, aren't going to be there. I think this is a team that's built to compete with Boston. Cat is going to be the starting 5. I think. I know there's been some different takes from guys on who's going to start. Maybe Precious, maybe someone else. Maybe some people feel like Deuce McBride is going to get in there. But I can't see it because it's just going to make the bench even weaker. In terms, I could see Deuce starting in terms of the fit next to Brunson because we've seen that before. But in terms of logistics, I can't take Deuce out of the bench lineup because that's gonna take a key piece away. That's going to give you that scoring when Brunson sits as well. But yeah, don't sleep on Leon. He's got more moves up the pipe as well. Yeah, Mr. Lee, I got the graphic here. This is the graphic showing the current 12-13 roster. I appreciate you. Glad you enjoy the show. Because I got 2 streams going. I got the live stream set up tomorrow, so I've had to join a different platform at the minute on this one, so I don't have it on a bigger screen. But this is the roster right now. Right, you got the bench at the front. Well, the 5 key reserves right now. I feel Mitch is obviously there in the background, but he won't be available until December or Jan. And then McCullough, and you got Huck Porty, and you got Jake Toppin on the 2-way, and then you've got Dadier and you've got Kolek on real roster spots as well. I think Dadier, anything, he could be anything early. He could be more physically ready because he's 6'9" now, 6'10". He's very long. He's only 18 and he's still growing. But he could be a factor for us in spot minutes if he's ready defensively. Offensively, he's still very raw. But we might need those bodies, to be able to defend if an injury happens. But if no one's injured, I like our first 10, first 9, right? That is what is going to win you that championship, guys. Not the 12 or 13 men. It's going to be that core 7 or 8. If health is on our side, that's going to be the core that leads you to that chip, basically. And the starting 5 is so versatile. But no doubt the 7th and 8th man is going to be key for me. Deuce and Precious. I think Precious, because he can play the 4 and the 5, and he can be that replacement off the bench for the front court. And Miles McBride is so important as well, because he can play the 1 and the 2 as well. His insurance if Brunson needs to sit, and we know his shooting is legit now. I mean, you don't want to leave Deuce McBride open at all. I think he showed that last season, and he's on the scouting report as well. For him, says, has it been mentioned that the trade is not official? It has not been mentioned, but the particulars of the deal have been confirmed. That is the official deal that will take place. I think basically the paperwork just has to be lodged. The calls have to be made to the NBA, and then it can be announced. But the details of the deal are now officially confirmed by the insiders. Obviously, all the beat writers and the insiders as well, too. What kind of moves can you foresee happening as well later in the season? Obviously, Mitch and Precious's salary are key, but if they're both healthy, we need them. I think in terms of, if you're not getting back equal value, you're not getting back at least the same level of talent, right? It doesn't make any sense to move them, right? So this could be the core roster that finishes the season. I think there might be a piece or two get changed. We'll see how it plays out. But right now, the starting 5 is where it's at. Offensively is our strength. Mr. Lee says, I like playing Precious with Towns, as Precious can keep OG's minutes down and be saved for the postseason. Right, that's a fair point. Definitely want to keep OG as healthy as possible. Cheesy says, I say start Sims and bring Josh off the bench. Interesting. Wall Street says Pacome is a wild card. I agree with you on that. For many reasons, fam. If he is physically ready to play, 8 to 10 minutes, spot minutes, defend, as the season goes, I'm not saying like early on, or I'm saying as the season goes, you're going to need that. It's a long season, 82 games, and we're kind of tight, in terms of the depth and the money. So if you can get something out of him and he's ready to step it up, hopefully he hits the weight room, maybe by January or February, he's ready to contribute in situational minutes. I think he's defensively more ready than offensively, and we've obviously got a lot of offensive players, so he's not going to be needed, I think, to shoot a lot. Yeah, Tibbs's options, it's going to be interesting to see how he goes with it all. In terms of Precious starting, once again, I would feel like it would work in terms of the chemistry and the talent. Off the bench, though, if I like him and Deuce both as key reserves off the bench because they can actually give you that spark. But man, Landry Shamet is going to be needed a lot more, guys. Landry Shamet, some people feel like he can be a Dante replacement of sorts, maybe a Dollar Tree version of Dante, but he's going to be needed because he's the key reserve at the two spot. The shooting, the experience that he has. Definitely a down year with Washington. He shot 34% from three, which has been well below his career numbers, well below. But in terms of his career shooting numbers from three, it's still 38%. So the talent is there on display for Shamet. Right, he just has to get back to be consistent. AR says Shamet's washed. We'll see. We'll definitely find out. He had a down year, but we need him, man. Big Ragu light, says Prezi. Deuce will take the next step. Cheesy. I'm confident. That Deuce McBride he actually has a higher ceiling, in my opinion, than Dante. Right. That might sound crazy to some, but he's so much younger. I think he's got 3-4 years on Dante, and the level of growth we saw in Deuce in just 1 year, if he continues on that trajectory, then he's definitely going to be a starting caliber player. And I think we kept the right guy. You talk about Quickly, look what Quickly's making, right? And I'm a Quickly guy, man. We obviously we did well with that draft pick. Emmanuel Quickly is a legit player and a legit starting player. But if you look at the money now that they're on, I mean, you can't tell me Deuce is on 4 million and Emmanuel Quickly's on 25. I don't know what he's on exactly, but it's 25 to 30 million, somewhere around there. You cannot tell me that there's a $20 million difference between Deuce McBride and Quickly right now. Might be a small difference, but not 20 million difference. So we were playing chess with that one, I think, in terms of, not paying Quickly because we had Brunson, obviously, and there just isn't going to be enough money and not enough room for these guys to eat. But obviously keeping Deuce McBride rather than Quickly was a huge move, man. A home run in terms of Deuce being able to play two ways. He can play the one or the two as well, and he's got high upside as well. To I think best value in the league right now. Absolutely, like Mr. Lee says, he was a Tibbs favorite too. Shifty says if Hart can shoot the three, that's the key. That is, I think we did the numbers, and Hart can shoot from the corner spot. He can shoot at a really good clip. Hart's versatility, man. He's our Swiss Army knife. Every championship club needs that one, man. Denver had Bruce Brown. They had a few guys. Celtics obviously had Derek White. I think Josh Hart is our Derek White. Do everything: rebound, block shots, push the break, hit down the open shot, grab those rebounds. He can do it all. I do know Tibbs does like McCullough as well. He was one of the best wing defenders in the NCAA. Injuries had definitely derailed his season, though. But he gives me Hart vibes, does McCullough. So it'd be interesting to see if he is healthy. He might get the final spot in terms of converting from the two-way. Because McCullough can rebound. He's 6'7", 6'6", 6'7". He's taller than Hart. He can guard up like Josh Hart can on post-ups. He can push the break, and he's a good passer out of the outlet and the skip pass. So that's the kind of guy we need off our bench, to play fast, grab the rebound, push the break. More players that can handle the ball will help. Definitely enormously. To Stanley agrees with that one. Wildcard McCullough, he can pass, high IQ. Yeah, he's a dog as well. We need dogs. And he played for Kansas, a big program, big spotlight. I just hope he's healthy. South Guna, 32 milli for Quick as well. Wow. Appreciate the number and the confirmation on that. But yeah, Quick got paid, and I'm happy for him, man. I'm so happy that he got paid, but I'm kind of happy we're not the one paying him, right now. Obviously, that would have, I mean, that I don't even know if Mikal Bridges is going to get 32 million. He's probably going to get close to that, and we'll wait for the Bridges extension. But yeah, that's very interesting, man. Deuce McBride on 3 more seasons for 4 million. Deuce is not getting traded, point blank. Guys, you can forget about it. I heard a lot of people talk about Walker Kessler improving, throwing Deuce in that trade as well. Whilst it made sense before we got Cat, because we really needed that center, but then best believe that the Knicks know that they've got an absolute steal in Deuce McBride in terms of value and play and contract. And you can't just throw that in a trade, especially when you're depleted of your depth, So we ended up doing an even bigger deal just so we don't have to give up Deuce as well. And we get Towns that address the center. So yeah, Prezi says, is McCullough healthy enough? And I agree, McCullough over the other two, says Finesseful. So it's a bit sketchy, and McCullough, I want to ask some of the beat writers. There is a video that I did see today. Guys were practicing, Campaign was putting up shots, and Jake Toppin and McCullough were sitting on the sideline. McCullough wasn't in his like training gear. It was street clothes, basically. So signs are looking like maybe McCullough is not participating yet. I could be wrong, but in the video I saw it. He was sitting on the sideline, and he was in street clothes. So I won't be shocked if McCullough is still not cleared yet. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy injury. He did have surgery during the season as well. So yeah, I think they'll stagger the bench. Shifty, I think definitely Hart will be the first guy off the bench so that he can play with the off the starting unit, so that he can play with the bench. I think I said yesterday, and it's quite fluid, but the first 2 subs I would make would probably be OG and Hart, or OG and Brunson. You keep Towns, keep Bridges, because Bridges can do everything off the bench. He can handle, he can score, and you still got your center on the floor as well. Then when it's ready to take them off, then you can bring Brunson back, and you've got his prowess back on the court together, and you bring back your Deuce as well, Hart. So it is tough. Yeah, McCullough might not be ready. We'll wait and see. OG can guard power forwards easily. We got quite a few guys that can, and they're not traditional fours, but they can guard fours, if that makes sense. So those guys are precious. Sims can guard fours. He can move his feet, I think, well enough. Obviously, Towns can guard fours as well. OG can guard fours. And I think while we haven't seen it yet because they're rookies, I think McCullough can guard up. He did in the college season. That's on his scouting report. So I'm not just making this up. On the player scouting report, McCullough can guard bigger players. He's 6'6", 6'7", and he's long. And if he is mentally ready, Pacome Dadier, I think, can guard fours as well. He's 6'9", and I think by the time probably the season begins, he might even be 6'10", because he's 18 and he's still growing. And so strength-wise, he might have to, put in the extra work in the weight room. But based on what I saw in the Summer League, I think it won't be long before I think Pacome Dadier will be able to play some stretch 4, just because he's so long, basically like a Trey Murphy kind of length as well. But it's all going to be how ready he is mentally as well in these minutes. Tibbs, right? Will he experiment in pre-season? Guys, that's going to be a key point to look out for, as we'll get ready to wrap this thing up in a minute. Right, get in any last comments or questions. We'll be live once again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern with Coach Nick of B-Ball Breakdown. Guys, it's been a great show breaking this down, and the trade is basically set. It's going to be announced. It's official, the details. have been confirmed, but maybe some more moving parts. We have to find out who gets that final 14th spot. But I think they're going to let it play out in camp. You know, why make the decision now? See if McCullough looks better, see if he can be healthy, see what happens with Huckbordy, and the rest will play out, fam. Please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new. It's great to have you with us all season long, man. We'll be bringing buzzing content, post-game lives, guests as well. I'm working on a call-in feature that's going to be announced as well. So we'll be hearing from you guys, the fans, the chat. As always, we love getting everyone's thoughts out here, whether we agree, disagree, man. We're all Knicks fans. We stick together. We just see it a different way sometimes too. But this is a new era, and a window is wide open, right? I've been a fan since the early 90s, and I think our time is now, man. As we talked about tonight, right, we have a 4-year window now officially. Karl Towns, Josh Hart, Bridges, OG Anunoby, and the captain Jalen Brunson will be under contract for at least 4 years, expected to be. Right, that's the starting 5. That's locked up for 4 years. No interruptions. No one's going to come and poach one of our starting 5 players in free agency anymore. It's set. Now we have to put in the work and do the business. Now, build the chemistry. Build the chemistry. Coach has to push the right buttons. You have to have health. But of course, we wait and see how that plays out. Boston, you could say that about them. You could say about that about Indiana, right? Tyrese Halliburton hasn't been very durable either. He was banged up in the postseason. When has a season gone by where Kristaps Porzingis hasn't been healthy, right? When has Joel Embiid ever been healthy? Well, so we'll see. There's been, questions over all these competitors of ours too, fam. But strap yourself in. It's going to be an amazing season, right? We've got Spurs on Christmas Day. We've got huge national games. We've got 35, and I think we'll get more as well. But yeah, see everybody tomorrow. Peace, everyone. Have a great night. Salute. Let's go.